Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's book review. It is Book 3, Magnus Chase, and the Gods of Asgard. It is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, Book 3, The Ship of the Dead, by Rick Riordan. It was released on October 3rd, 2017, and it is 410 pages long. It is meant for a younger adult, not young adult, but younger audience, but still enjoyable as an adult. If you haven't seen, I've already reviewed the first two books, which were The Sword of Summer and The Hammer of Thor, and now this is the conclusion. So the plot, again, it carries on right at the end, right from the end of the previous book, which was The Hammer of Thor, and it continues forward because the previous book ended on somewhat of a cliffhanger. And this kind of is going to lead to the conclusion. So, spoiler alert for The Hammer of Thor. If you haven't read that yet, don't continue watching. The Hammer of Thor ends where Loki was actually manipulating everyone into his master plan so that essentially tricked them all into freeing him. So now Loki's free, and he's trying to trigger Ragnarok by releasing the Ship of the Dead, which will basically bring an army of every kind of, not just undead soldiers, but like giants and all that to Asgard, and basically they're going to attack and try to cause the end of days. So it's up to now Magnus Chase and his clan, his crew, to fix what they did, undo what they did. And basically, I'm not going to get into the whole plot, but the way he needs to defeat Loki is, I forget the word that they use, but it's basically they gotta insult each other, like a freestyle battle almost. Anyway, that's the plot. In order for him to gain the skill or creativity or whatever, he essentially has to get drunk, but they don't say that. He needs to make this special mead, this concoction, which will help him be more wordy. Anyway, so obviously the plot for me was like, whatever, so it's supposed to be this conclusion to this great grand plan, but it was just led into this, I don't want to spoil it. Anyway, but the saving grace once again is the supporting cast around Magnus Chase. You get a lot more insight, especially the characters that are from Valhalla that he meets in the first book, and they're supposed to be his friends. They share his not room, but like their hallway, I guess you could say. They're neighbors in their hallway, and they're kind of a team, and they don't really get as much exposure in the first book. They get a bit more in the second book, but now they're actually in the quest with the rest of the main characters. So he gets a lot of FaceTime with each one, and you get their backstories as well, and it brings everything together. And then also Hearthstone, which was one of my favorite characters, you get insight for him in the Hammer of Thor, and then in this book, the Ship of the Dead, he has to go back and kind of finish what they left off from that last book, and it's a very deep moment for him, and it's if you like his character, then that definitely helped me get through the book too. Not that it was hard to get through the book, ignore that comment. It wasn't hard to get through the book. I enjoyed the book, I just didn't like it as much as the previous book. Then obviously everything gets brought in and concluded. Everyone gets their moment, to shine, and then typical, meant for younger audiences or Disney fashion, it's like, oh, we're all in this together, if we have each other, blah blah blah, whatever. I mean, that's cool, that's fine, it's very Japanese, very anime. This isn't an anime, I'm just saying, like, that's a typical thing. For me, it's always played out, and I'm like, I like more gritty or darker, and this is obviously not meant to be that, so I'm not gonna bash it for that. But yeah, so that's that, we're all in this together, la la la. But the story itself was still great, and the characters was the strength from the whole trilogy, which really kept me going through it. And what was a big shocker I don't know if I want to say shocker, but what was great was that he concluded with his Magnus Chase, his love interest was actually Alex Fierro, who is, I explained in the previous book, is it's not a he or a she. He's not a he or a she. It just depends on the day, and he or she will let you know. He's gender fluid, so born male, I believe, biologically, but identifies as a woman some days and as a man on other days, and his or her thing will him or her will let you know what it is that day. And Magnus Chase doesn't, what's the word? He still feels strongly for that person, Alex Fierro. It's hard to say him or her because most of the time, Alex Fierro identifies as a her. Sometimes he identifies as a he. And I believe Rick Riordan made a point for their first kiss to happen while Alex Fierro was identifying as a male. And Magnus Chase even said, well, he's still Alex Fierro, he's still the same person, he's still whatever, so that's okay with me. And that's very forward thinking for a book that's meant for a younger audience. I like the idea of involving and exposing and bringing light to all these various people from different walks of life, because most times animosity and hatred and all these things are bred from ignorance and from upbringing and from not being exposed to other things. I happen to be from Toronto, Canada, which is one of the most diverse cities in the world. There's no one clean-cut culture here. Everyone has their culture. We are all Canadian or whatever, but I sing culture, but there's also people who identify as different genders. There's also people who are of different sexualities, etc. We have a very strong pride community and whatever, and this is supposed to be a book review, but I like just bringing light to diversity, and that's what really I liked about this trilogy. Not just with Alex Fierro, but also Hearthstone, who's a deaf person, a deaf elf, I guess. You don't have often that there's characters with disabilities that are just, they're just, they have a disability, and that it is what it is. So I really like that about these books. I give credit to Rick Riordan for that. Great reads. Otherwise, I know I went on a tangent at the end, but yes, it's a very good book. Good trilogy, fun. I've been really into Norse mythology this year by coincidence. There was Thor Ragnarok, the film. Avengers had a little bit of Norse mythology in it. This book, I've been playing God of War, which was originally Greek, but now he's into the Norse realm, Midgard, so I feel like an expert on Norse mythology, and I never knew it was so interesting. And that's all I have to say. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like my channel. Please comment if you have something to say. Please like the video if you liked it. And take care, guys.